Hi, welcome to Things Above Podcast. This is the place where things only go up from here. I'm your host, Taylar, and thank you for joining me for another episode. If this is your first time, I want to say welcome. I encourage you to start from the beginning and to work your way up, because after each episode, I want you to feel like you're going higher and higher. And how can you do that? In reverse. So y'all, last night I was watching The Prince of Egypt, and that's what inspired today's message. If you are a 90s kid, you would know how much all of us really love this movie. When we were little, me and my baby sister, we used to watch The Prince of Egypt over and over. And I found it again on Netflix last night. So basically, the movie comes from the book of Exodus, and this is telling the story of Moses and his rise to helping his people, the Hebrews, get free from captivity from the Egyptians. And it's funny, when you're a child, you don't understand the impact of a movie, but when you're an adult, you see it with different eyes, and it affects you differently. So basically, what I took away from the movie is, yes, we could look at Moses' life, but he had a decision to make. I believe his call was from childbirth was to be a deliverer of his people, because his mom put him in the basket to escape the wrath of the Pharaoh against the Hebrew boys under the age of 2. And he was delivered from death and put in position to infiltrate the Pharaoh's kingdom for deliverance for his people, the Hebrew Israelites. So there were some things I took away from this movie. One thing was that he couldn't run away from his call. He was called to be a deliverer from the beginning. Once he left his old life behind as the Prince of Egypt, he had no other choice but to step into his new life. Because in the movie, when he was out in the middle of the desert, his new life came to him along with community, a tribe, a family that would be a part of helping him to fulfill his purpose. Although they didn't have big roles, they still were a vital part of helping him to fulfill what God had told him to do. And lastly, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. It's about connection. I believe in order to fulfill his purpose, Moses had to see all sides of the coins. He saw firsthand the oppression of the Hebrews from the eyes of the palace, and then it allowed him to develop compassion for those people. But also in answering the call, God displayed his power and majesty through the plagues, the miracles, the signs, and the wonders that Moses was able to display through his staff. It was one part of the movie that stood out to me, and that's when Moses was giving the Hebrews instructions on what to do when the death angel passes by. He told them if they followed his instructions, no plague will come near them. Or, let me say it like this. He said, no plague shall enter in. So as I was watching the death angel go throughout Egypt, I noticed that some of the Hebrews did not follow through with the instructions that were given to them. Therefore, the firstborn that was in their home, you heard the breath leaving their bodies, as well as with the Egyptian firstborns. And I want to elaborate on the last point. It's all about who you are connected to. It's not about what you know. God connects us with people in many ways for many different reasons. And in this case, with the Hebrews, God connected them to Moses to deliver them from captivity, from slavery, from the oppression that they had been experiencing at the hands of the Egyptians. But also Moses was there to give the Hebrews instruction on how to overcome, how to withstand the plagues that God has set on Egypt. Meaning there is always a lifeline in position to help deliver people from captivity, from things that keep them bound. There are some people who just like to take the long way around, because once you keep going in the story, they stopped listening to Moses and started doing their own thing. But that's another episode. But back to my point, God put people in your life to help bring you out of some things. But if you go based off of your own understanding of the situation, it's some things that you might miss. It's some things that you might have to endure. Some plagues are going to enter. Moses probably didn't look like the hero in a lot of the Hebrew people's eyes. But as we all know, you can't judge a book by its cover. He didn't look like the hero. He didn't sound like the hero because we know that Moses had a speech impediment and he wanted God to send someone else, but God said he would send his brother Aaron to speak on his behalf, but he still wanted him to do the work. But if you've never watched The Prince of Egypt before, that part isn't in the movie. That's a more biblical knowledge. And looking at it from another standpoint, let's look at it from Moses' eyes. Sometimes you just have to go with what you have. You may not have all the background details. You may not have the resources that you think you might need. But the truth of the matter is, God will equip you with everything that you need to fulfill his purpose, his will for your life and for the lives of others. In both scenarios, I would say don't reject the blessings that God is sending you. Don't reject the people that God is sending you. It may not look like your ideal tribe, but God puts people in our lives for many different reasons. But of course, it's to deliver us out of some things that we've been in, that it's time for us to come out of. And if he has put you in a position and you don't understand why, you just know that God knows the reason why he needs you. It's something within you that he put there that he needs to display his power through you to deliver other people, to help others see that when you surrender your will and you give up your old life and you step into the new one, what that looks like. So as we conclude today's episode, I want to leave y'all with this Bible scripture. It's 1 Samuel 16:7, and it states, "But the Lord said to Samuel, don't judge by his appearance or height, for I have rejected him. The Lord doesn't see things the way you see them. People judge by outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." So clearly we know that deliverance can come from anywhere. It doesn't matter what the person looks like. Remember, Jesus faced these same troubles when he went back to his hometown to preach. They knew him as the carpenter's son. Therefore, the people tried to discredit his testimony with being the Son of God. But one thing about God is he will not be made out to be a lie, and he will not be put to shame. So if you enjoyed today's episode and you want more encouragement, I encourage you to follow me on my YouTube channel at Things Above Podcast, and on my TikTok at Taylar Jacquay red heart emoji, and on Instagram at Taylar Jacquay 22. I'm sorry, Tay Jacquay 22. And I have a book available on Amazon called Things Above, a Book of Encouragement. I hope y'all enjoyed today's episode. This is Things Above Podcast. This is the place where things only go up from here. I'm your host, Taylar Jacquay. Until next time.